ever order a meal at a restaurant thinking it's going to be something spectacular and delicious, only to have it be pretty mediocre? But you don't want to complain to the waitress because you don't want to make things awkward? That's Sonic Forces. The game looked really promising, as it had a premise that I loved, and it had been a while since we got a full-fledged Sonic game. I needed my fix, dude. This game had a lot of potential, and while I'm happy to report the game isn't bad, it is disappointing in a lot of areas. Again, I was hyped for the story, a game where Dr. Eggman finally won! Yes! This is the kind of thing I dream about every night! From what we saw prior to the game releasing, the game looked really nice and crisp, and they were bringing in the London Symphony Orchestra to do some of the music.
Nice.
They were even introducing a new villain with an incredibly edgy, but amazing theme song. I hadn't been this excited for a game since Wallace and Gromit and Project Zoo. But just because you have all the ingredients for a delicious meal, it doesn't guarantee you'll make a great Sonic sandwich out of them. So let's go over the disappointing areas first. First of all, in a world that's supposed to be taken over by Dr. Eggman, as in he controls 99% of the planet, the world looks pretty Sonic-y still. I mean, you've got giant Death Egg robots stomping through town and stuff like that in some areas, but you'd think that there'd be more, I don't know, giant statues of the Doctor, or at least some gloating from him every once in a while. I'm glad they decided to expand on Sonic's world a bit in this title, but I just wish there was more world building, or Eggman Land building in this case. So, we start off the game with the Doctor taking over, and after Sonic gets his butt handed to him by Eggman's goons, Tails, you gonna help him out? No? Okay. Eggman imprisons our hero and finally achieves world domination. Through some text on screen. So you have a great premise for the game, and you choose to skip the main plot point of the game and skip ahead 6 months later. We don't get to see any of the actual taking over the world.
That's it? No.
So Sonic is gone, and a resistance made up of Sonic's friends is struggling to take back the world. Alright, cool. And Sonic's best friend Tails, who acted uncharacteristically cowardly earlier, is surely spearheading this resistant movement to avenge his friend and carry on his heroic work. Nope, he's failing to fix Omega, something also out of character for him. Isn't he supposed to be like a technological genius? We could have had a really cool team-up of two of my favorite characters, but apparently, Tails lost all of his technical aptitude along with his spine. I'm glad they've included a lot of the other members of the Sonic cast in this one, but if you're not going to use them properly, then what's the point? Speaking of improper use, we're then introduced with my biggest gripe with this game, Classic Sonic. A character who has absolutely no reason to be in this game, other than the fact that Sonic Team is probably trying to, once again, improve sales using the nostalgia factor. To clarify, there are 3 different types of stages in Forces, where you either play as Modern Sonic, Classic Sonic, or your custom character, which I'll discuss later on. Rather than add a fun new way of playing, like Classic Sonic did in Generations, here he takes away from the game, in that his stages are, for the most part, pretty terrible. There are lots of videos out there showcasing how terrible Classic Sonic controls and how he lacks the basic thing he needs in order to play properly: momentum. Floaty and tedious would be the words I would use to describe classic stages, especially Chemical Plant. Screw that place, that has to be one of the worst Sonic levels I've ever played.
Damages the soul.
Bottom line, I believe Forces would be infinitely better if Classic Sonic wasn't there to begin with, or if he at least played properly. In regards to the other levels, for the most part they're pretty well designed and fun, but they have one major issue. While I was playing on hard, they took me an average of about 1 minute and 20 seconds to beat. So it makes sense that, since there are only 30 stages, excluding the little bonus ones, the game only takes about 3 hours to beat. Now, I'm not saying that short games are automatically bad, there's some really good short games out there. But if you're charging $45 for a game, I expect to get a game where the length matches the price. And having stages that are only about 1.5 minutes isn't great for replayability. If you're thinking about getting this game, please wait until it goes on sale so you can get your money's worth. The only other real complaints I had about the game were that a few of the non-classic stages felt a bit clunky at times. No. Oh! And while the writing of Forces was decent at times, some of the lines felt very off for a Sonic game.
My spy there says he's in a solitary confinement cell, and they've been torturing him for months.
What?
That's horrible!
What the fuck?
So, all in all, Forces definitely let me down in some pretty substantial areas. But it's not all bad. While it's not the sandwich I wanted, some parts of it were still pretty tasty. I'll stop with the food metaphor now. The most exciting and dare I say, controversial part of Forces was the fact that you could create and play as your own Sonic character, which, Sonic OC jokes aside, is pretty cool. This is Kim. And you know what? Her stages are pretty fun. They're not as fast-paced as Sonic's, but they introduce some neat mechanics. Making your avatar and customizing it with all the gear you unlock is just... It's pure, you know? Innocent and fun. Something I've missed in games of late. A few of the Wispins, leave a bit to be desired, but for the most part, it's really enjoyable to just mow down badniks with them. I'd totally be down if Sonic Team did more personalization like this in the future. As for modern Sonic stages, those are pretty fun too, and they look really nice as well. The only problem is by the time you get used to the level and appreciate its background and design, it's over. I know Sonic's supposed to be fast, but not that fast. You know, I like comparing Forces to The Last Jedi. A weird comparison, I know, hear me out. They both had a lot of potential that they just didn't capitalize on. They both had some good moments, but the end product could have been so much better. Also, they both kind of have the same characters. I mean, you got the Mary Sue character who leaves and comes back later, you got the new recruit, you got the person who shouldn't be there, you got the edgy wannabe in a mask.
I am not weak.
Speaking of Force's good moments, there were a few things I thought it did really well. The voice acting is well done, with Roger and Mike giving great performances as always, and Liam O'Brien does a great job of giving Infinite a dark, yet strangely endearing personality. I actually really like Infinite as a character, it's a shame we didn't see more of it. The boss fights in the game were entertaining as well, providing a good mix of challenge and, wow, I literally just beat that guy to a pulp. Playing through the 3 hours of game, while it was short, left me with wanting more, which is a good sign. And throughout, there were some moments I really enjoyed. Is that how you got, Eggman? You think you can be all Sonic 1 on me with... Oh. Hi.
Yikes! It doesn't matter what obstacles they put in our way. We'll blow past everything they throw at us. Double...
What is this feeling?
Didn't you run into Sonic there after he escaped?
Yes, but he was powerless against me. There is no need for concern.
You let the hedgehog live? That is a great source of concern!
For you, perhaps. He has beaten you for decades, yet I defeated him in our first encounter.
The Death Egg? Oh man, that's not good.
None of this is good, Vector. That's why it's called war.
Knuckles fought in the Ishval Civil War, you know.
Bruh, look at this dude. Wait till you see the... No. Look at the top of his head. Nice.
This smile. I will protect this smile. I will fight you for this smile.
Nice.
There is, however, one aspect of Forces that is elevated above all the rest. The music. It's what you normally expect from a Sonic game. Please, listen to the soundtrack if you haven't already, it's definitely worth your time. All in all, Forces isn't a bad game and has a few really enjoyable moments. I unfortunately can't recommend it due to it being only 3 hours long, and for the classic stages being absolutely abysmal. Again, this game had a lot of potential, and it's a shame it didn't capitalize more with it. Still, I'm optimistic Sonic Team will learn what was good and bad, and take it into consideration for the next title. After all, the possibilities for the future are infinite.
When everything you know has come and gone!
Skywalker lives. The seed of the Jedi Order lives. As long as it does, hope lives.